Check it out. Check it out. The winner this here
And the winner
category is
we already know. We already know who it is. You know
the
what I'm
winner
saying?
is the Notorious B.I.G.
Ready to die.
Yo, yo, hey yo, I want to give mad love to my daughter, to my moms, to my manager Gucci, to my wife. You know what I'm saying? We did it, Brooklyn, we did it. All of we did it. Bull nothing. All of them. One love to all y'all motherfuckers.
Man, I think I don't necessarily know that he ends up where he, because I don't know if I'm pretty confident saying that he wouldn't be as big as he is now. But yeah, Puff, and again, what Puff is being accused of is he'll have to deal and face that he'll have to face that in court. But if Big were alive, I don't necessarily know that. If Biggie were alive, I don't know that Puff ever gets to Ciroc. I don't know if he ever gets to Revolt. I don't know if he ever gets. I don't know if Bad Boy ever becomes. To be honest, I don't know if Big were alive. I don't know if Puff ever gets to Sean John. Sean John was the thing that financially set him apart from other hip hop artists because it was his clothing line.
He was the trendsetter, though. We got to go back.
He was
Biggie. I do agree with, but I think you don't realize how slippery Mr. Sean Combs is.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
And, he will find if there's water. You know what they say about water in your home? If it's water leak, it'll find a way. That is Sean Combs. It'll find a way.
He'll find a way. He'll find a way. And I mean, he was a hustler. You spoke about his days at Uptown. I mean, like, Puff was known early before he became Puff Daddy. He was known for party promotions. That's what he was known for at Howard. And then he famously had the incident in New York where they had the
Heavy D charity basketball game.
Yeah, charity basketball game where I think like 8 or 9 people got killed in the stampede. Yeah. So he hasn't been without controversy, and he's had a name for a long time. And one of the reasons why the late Andre Harrell let him go was because like they were just butting heads. He was like I can't deal with this guy. And Puff had a lot of ideas and a lot of dreams, and he wasn't going to stay. I guess basically the way it was told to us, he wasn't going to stay at Uptown long because it was always going to be a conflict of interest and those two guys butting heads or what have you. But
now,
yeah,
my question for you is,
go ahead.
I got. What about him versus Suge Knight? How does that? That's the flip I have for you in these questions. Where does the Suge Knight situation go? Because that ain't, your beef is mine. That's still on.
Right. I think at that particular time, Biggie was alive. So we had at this point, we have to assume that everything is playing out the way that it's playing out. I think the beef still happens. I think
some other random people may get caught up in this, that because Biggie didn't, and it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to get him in Philly. And then some little season somebody gets flipped off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
oh yeah. You can't get to the big guy, so you get the people.
So he's like hanging out at Roscoe's. We're gonna catch him over there.
Right. I could definitely see something like that happening. I think Biggie, the East Coast West Coast beef happens, and let's just assume that along the way Pac gets killed, unfortunately. If Biggie lives and none of this stuff happens to Biggie, I think, Puff and Suge still get into it. To what degree? I don't know if it's as powerful. Well, I guess I would assume that it would still be as powerful. But
I mean, allegedly, Wolf, Puffy's security killed his best friend in Atlanta, which kicked off this whole thing. So,
allegedly.
I don't know if it's alleged at this point.
Well, here's the thing. I was in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta now.
Oh, that's You were you in Atlanta when that happened?
Yeah, I was. I was here. I moved here in '97, so I want to say I think I was here.
No, it happened in 94, 93, okay. 94. When And it was a Jermaine Dupri's birthday party.
Birthday party. Okay, so I wasn't here, but I was here, meaning I'd been to Atlanta.
You in and out.
I was in and out of Atlanta, back and forth from college at South Carolina State University. And so here's the thing: in the street stuff, and I don't really talk about street because I ain't no street dude. What I do know is that I was here when Wolf got killed.
With Big Meat.
Yeah, that. And listen, I wish I had time to talk. Those Big Meat stories and everything that you've heard about Big Meat and BMF is true. All true.
It's true.
All true. I mean, like I remember the only time I was ever in a club with the BMF dudes. I just remember somebody saying, the DJ saying, "Yes, shout out to Misha and BMF. They bought out the bar, and they bought the bar for like everybody's drinks was." I had like a couple of Heinekens. I was like, that was my club drink back in the day.
So it was this open bar. You was basically open bar.
Use whatever you want because they purchased all the liquor for the night. That was like what they did. Like and them dudes, they weren't low key at all. They were very. You knew who they were. If their ladies was with them, you knew that they were with them, and so you knew not to try to step to them or nothing like. And I don't want to say interactions, but in seeing those guys and seeing how they moved, it was people knew who they were, but ain't nobody mess with them. Like they would Meech and those guys would be in the club and they just be chilling. And you see them in VIP, but ain't nobody screw facing, ain't nobody trying to shoot them, ain't nobody. It wasn't like that. But you knew if you were in a place and they were in a place, you knew they were there. I'll put it like that. You knew they were there, but it was some street.
The beef's still on, though. I think in this,
the beef is still on. It was some street stuff that happened, and that was
Suge Knight's still in jail though too. You got to remember he goes to jail.
Yeah, he goes to jail.
Practices, so he's in jail during this time. Exactly. So actually, the beef may be a little simmered for a little bit.
Exactly,
he's locked up.
Exactly. So it's a lot of moving parts. A lot of moving parts. So we assume that Biggie goes to LA, doesn't get killed.
No, I'm assuming Biggie doesn't go at all. I'm just saying.
And I mean, in
this scenario, that's the only way I think that he doesn't get clipped.
You're right. But I mean, like he was out there to promote Life After Death. Yeah. So, and some people may have taken that as you're out here, you throwing this up in our face. You know what I'm saying? Like. Mm-hmm. And we didn't keep in mind, kids, we didn't have the internet back then. So it was a different day and time.
It was all just in your mind. Like,
yeah, it's just in your mind. So you don't know if somebody really got beef with you or not. So but yeah, Biggie, I think if Biggie, if he lives, Puff is not as big. He's just not. And so maybe he's subsequently not looking for beef.
I think he develops more. I think it actually. It actually is. Diddy already had a Puffy had a villain origin story before.
Yes,
but I think this like flipped him from being like just a villain to like a super villain. Was when Big died.
Yeah,
I think he would have just been getting over on people taking their money for like forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he'd just been a label dude that's got you in a bad contract forever after that. And I think that's how he would access the money to be able to do the things that we already said. I'm just saying he would sign more artists. I'm thinking.
Oh, I think so too. He definitely would sign more.
He would have already ventured into Atlanta. I think a lot low key. Maybe some of that Atlanta scene might have got cut the legs off earlier by Bad Boy earlier. I mean, because it took him a while to get down there to get the Young Jocks and the Boys in the Hoods. What if he
had Bad Boys out? Yeah.
What if he ventures out earlier?
If he does, I think he's probably still successful because Puff had a name.
Going into Atlanta artist. I mean,
definitely.
He's down there earlier. He's scooping up. I'm just a thought of random artist. He gets Cool Breeze.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of cats that was popping in the late 90s that weren't signed to any Atlanta label. Or maybe I'm trying. Cool Breeze wouldn't go up Puff. Let me get a better person. What about the Young Bloods or somebody?
You know, I could see Puff because around that time you said that you're referencing, he created what they call Bad Boy South.
Right.
So that's when they came with
Young
Jock,
and Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. That's the name of the group that Jeezy was a part of.
Yep.
And I think Puff was he was to quote the song, he was making moves. And he was a little bit of everywhere. And I think
New York had dried up for him at that time.
Yeah, and you know what the thing was too, like Puff was already developing a reputation for being a business guy with some street ties, but his business acumen was questionable. I mean, we all remember the contract situation that he had with the Locks, and the Locks going on Hot 97 talking about, they were stuck in a bad deal and they were trying to get out. And, we come to find out later that almost everybody that was on Bad Boy was in a bad, record deal, which is for the 90s. I mean, it's no big surprise because everybody was in bad record deals, but
what did Tip say? Rule number 1780, all reckoning cover people are shady.
Yep. Industry rule number 4080. I mean, that's just what it is. And it's not any surprise, but Puff had his hand in a lot of pots, let's just say. And I think during that time frame, man, we were starting to witness of, who he was becoming. And I just think if Big were alive, he probably still gets to that. I just don't know that he gets to the levels that he got to.
Yeah, I can see that. I just see him jerking more artists. I think he just ups more jerking artists. So
yeah, I mean,
I just see him amping it up more. I'm just thinking about he trying to sign Big L. I'm just thinking of everybody that was just popping. He was, especially if he lost Big. I think. Well, I mean, Mace came in pretty hard for him though too.
Yeah, Mace was a lot in a lot of ways a saving grace because Mace had a lot of what Big had. He had that star power. He had, he was Puffy's kind of like Puffy could be like his sidekick, and Mace was there from Big's.
He can rhyme. And
he can rhyme, and the videos that they shot with the shiny suits. I mean, that shiny suit era got him on MTV. For as much as we joke the shiny suit era got Puff on MTV daily, and it helped make him become a household name. So, for what it's worth, he rode that into the sunset, if you will.
Do you, in this same scenario, do we not get the shiny suit era from Puff? Because the Biggie's passing, Pac's passing was one thing, but I think the Biggie passing with it made it an opening when people were like, yo, we don't want no gun talking songs for a while. Like, we don't want that strict street element. It was a period, y'all, like I would say when Big died till, man, what, maybe like late 2000s? It was like it was like a 10-year run where street music wasn't the main vehicle.
Yeah,
it was for the previous maybe 4 or 5 years.
You're right. Before that. You're right. There was a point where
we go to Murder Inc. after that. Like, you gotta think we go
right.
Murder Inc.
We
go, then we go snap music. We go, crunk music. Like, we go through part where
there was a time. You're right. There was a time where there wasn't as much gun talk. There wasn't as much, murder, kill type stuff. And I don't necessarily know if people did it consciously. It may have been something subconscious. It could have been consciously, but it was where, we kind of saw, because here's the thing. If you didn't live through that era, it's hard for people to understand or explain how big it was to lose Pac and then Biggie 6 months later. I mean, like, I could give you Kendrick. If I said Drake got killed, murdered, on a Vegas strip, and then Kendrick got murdered 6 months later, maybe, but I don't even think you can compare it, because what Biggie and Pac they were bigger than that. And that's hard to fathom for someone who didn't live through that era, but they really were. And
it's way more street element, like, intertwined in their lives that are like the underbelly and like prelogue to all of this stuff.
Yes. And there's so many ties and so many things that,
What if DOC never got into that car accident? What if Ice Cube didn't leave NWA? What if the Game never leaves G-Unit? What if Teddy Riley never moves to Virginia? What if we got that J. Cole and Kendrick album? What if the RZA would have never had that flood? How would the hip-hop world sound today? Welcome to Hip Hop What Is, the podcast where we dive into the biggest what could have beens in hip-hop history. From iconic album delays to game-changing partnerships that never happened. We reimagine the culture we love and explore its alternative paths. And you are now at